taking a critical look at the gaming news of the week. This is Augmented Reality.
You are watching my favorite channel.
I've not heard of them.
The Triple S League. Enjoy, guys.
Hello and welcome to the Augmented Reality Podcast for March 23rd, 2022. This is Ash with you for the Triple S League, here with Obsidian and Moontag as always, here to talk about the gaming news of the week, news, leaks, and analysis of what's going on in the gaming industry. We've got some interesting stories for you today, and yes, we are coming at you pre-recorded on YouTube and almost anywhere you can find podcasts. You can find the audio version of this podcast as well. So you have a lot of choices in how you listen in, but yes, we do the recording for the podcast the night before it goes live on YouTube and other channels. We do the recording semi-live in our Discord server, so definitely join up and check out our Discord server, our great community that we have going on there. And for those who are Patreon supporters of any level, channel members of any level, or server boosters, can sit in on the recording session and be a part of the live chat that we've got going on there. So it's a fun time. This is our second week doing this, and we have, we're doing it again this week, and it should be a good time. All right. Moon and Obsidian, how are you doing this week?
Good.
Good. I am growing some lovely pet grass for Commander, and she's like, nom nom, I eat grass.
Pet grass?
Very cute.
Wait, you're
She's
growing...
so funny.
You're growing grass for your cat to eat?
Yes. They're
Well,
like
yeah, obviously.
buckwheat seeds.
Cats and dogs need to eat grass. Do you not know
Fiber.
this?
Well, I've just never heard of someone like just growing grass for their pet. That's not supposed to be on the screen yet. I'm still getting used to this new system. Plus, also, I completely redid my office this week, and it's much, much better. It's much nicer. I've got carpet under my feet instead of just a cold cement floor. But my side monitor's on the other side now, and it's throwing me off like crazy. I'm like, this my whole world is upside down. So, anyway.
Good job.
Yeah, well, it's something I've been wanting to do, because it faces the window now, which is just better for me during the day, getting that sunlight into my eyeballs. So, yeah, it's all good. Anyway, as you've already seen, if you're watching the video version of this, we're going to be talking about Hogwarts Legacy today, and we're going to be also talking about Starfield. We got some new information on that. We're going to be talking about, The Witcher. That's the other thing. The new Witcher series is going to be one of our topics today. The vampire series a little bit. So anyway, let's jump into this Hogwarts Legacy thing. So we got a rather in-depth look at Hogwarts Legacy. Now you and Max, Saib, you guys talked about it on Maximum News, which another
Yep.
show you can find on this channel. You talked about it last week on Maximum News. Because it had come out just before that, this expensive gameplay demo that they showed, and since then it's been received very positively, and it's not hard to see why. If you go through the video that they put out, the going through just all of the features of the game with gameplay footage. Which is, by the way, those of you running the Game Awards and any E3-like events, you should watch something like that and take some notes. This is what gamers want to see. This is what we want to see about your game. We don't want your crappy minute-and-a-half CG trailers that show us nothing. We want to see what the game actually is. Anyway, looks pretty fantastic. Some stuff I noticed. So it's... looks like it's going to have a pretty deep RPG system. Upgrades, talents, skills.
It is definitely telling an in-depth, personalized story that is good as far as we can see. It's got a pretty good premise. It's like the one downside that some people might have is like, what? It doesn't allow me to go through all the years that everybody else would normally go through in that situation. I don't start out as, what was Harry, like 10 or 12 or something like that? Actually,
I don't know. He was pretty young.
Yeah, he starts out like I think he's younger. I think it's like eight or something. Forgive me, Hogwarts fans. I don't know the answer to this. Please put it in the. Please comment on that down below. But it's like some people are annoyed, and I mean some, as in like a very small amount, are annoyed that they don't get to start in the in the first year, and move through the entire school course. The and they wanted that experience, and part of me says, yeah, but I mean, aren't you just signing yourself up for like a 5,000-hour game over the course of several
Do they
years?
want to sit down and do the maths homework?
Yeah, it's like so I think there's that, and that was a fear I think some people were kind of worried about or talking about. But we can now look at this now and say that that is pretty unfounded. Like it's not an unfounded fear. Obviously, the fear was there, but it's like I don't think we have to worry about that.
I'm not sure what's the fear you're talking about. Like, we don't know what the story, what the story is necessarily going to entail.
The missing of the traditional story path that Harry Potter himself took.
Okay, yeah,
That's what they're afraid of missing out on.
well, I mean,
And I can say that I think that most everybody didn't see that, and that concern, which was there a few years ago. I remember people talking about this. I haven't seen anybody bring it up. I went through a bunch of the comments. I've been listening to the that's not the complaint. There's no complaint about like, I want a full Hogwarts experience going from a young child all the way up to basically adulthood. It's like they don't have that, and that's not that was originally something that I heard a fair bit about in the complaints, like a couple of years ago. But after seeing this trailer and after seeing the general direction, it seems that that's pretty much non-existent as far as
I don't know
concern.
how you would do that anyway. I mean,
Yeah,
in any game you play ever, like, time is very relative. Even if you have a day-night cycle, like someone's like, meet me tomorrow at noon, and then you dick around and you do side quests for like 3 in-game months, and then you're like, oh yeah, I got to meet that person at noon. And it's 3 months later, and they're waiting for you there at noon, right? Like it just, there's some games that put a limit on that, and it's like, yeah, well, don't make this person wait longer. But those can be, I mean, obviously can't speak for everybody, but it seems like when you're time limited stuff it can detract from the experience when it's like. When you're going through a game at your own pace, and then suddenly you have to do something within a certain span of time, and kind of interrupts whatever else you were focusing on. But yeah, like, how would you do that the other way? Like, how would you expand a game experience over multiple years of attending school?
Well, you just literally play through it all. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you'd almost have to have multiple games sequentially to do that, because then you leave for 1 year and then you come back for the next year.
Yeah,
are you going to have the same side quests available? Like it just doesn't seem like that.
And
would
what
work
I'm saying is that people that were wanting a full 7 long year series based off like having their character progress, that was an unreasonable, silly thing that some people were expecting, but it doesn't seem to be a primary issue. So we're kind of dragging this on a little bit.
Well, okay, so people are moving past that.
People are like, this is what the general reaction seems to be, is that this is everything that everybody wanted. The only thing that doesn't seem to be here, the only singular thing that does not seem to be here that was in all the movies, was Quidditch.
Right.
That's the only thing that we did not see gameplay for, and it could be that they're holding out on that, and it also could be that that's some kind of like expansion or DLC come down the road.
Right.
And
or maybe it'll be the next esports game.
Well, I've been saying this forever. It's like I think that they have missed out significantly on not making Quidditch be an actual esport game that they started and created leagues for, that had a certain level of online play. Like, that's something that if they had the money that they were sitting on, all those years ago, I would have said, "Hey, let's make an esport like Quidditch League." And then you can set it up so that it's really easy for people to create their own leagues and then you can literally let it play out like essentially everything from minor leagues all the way up to majors. And you can throw money at the whole, like at the rewards, at the esports, at big tournaments, stuff like that. And I think that they would have been able to keep that alive for a really long time. I really think that this is a really good idea.
I
But
remember
they
you saying
never
that a
moved
long
on
time.
it.
Yeah, I remember you saying that a long time ago.
Yeah.
Of course.
Because Quidditch is one of the most exciting things it's one of the most exciting sports I've seen portrayed on the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
And my only complaint in the latter years of the show is that there wasn't enough focus on it. Because again, I think that Quidditch is one of those things that, now, yes, I know that Quidditch is a real sport that people actually get together and perform in fields. However, there is a little bit of something missing there when I see people doing Quidditch out in the field. And I think it's one of these sports that I don't think it belongs in the real world. I think it belongs in the digital world, and that we can move towards that, longer and longer.
Not until we actually invent hover brooms.
Yeah,
Oh my
I don't think the physicality of it's going to work until. I mean, I don't even think even with hover brooms,
It would be a great VR sport.
Yes, I was gonna say that. That would be really cool.
Yeah, you're right. Probably would be an amazing VR sport. I still think that it would be any kind, like first person, third person. I think any kind of variation of it, if done correctly and done in a very with a really hyper smooth engine. And I mean, I've seen what they can do with with some of the online sports games that are already out there. Everything from Rocket League to soccer. It's like, I know that they could do a really good job of this, and I know that they could have really opened the door and expanded to it. So that's something
Just don't sell the rights to EA, please,
Yeah,
for the love of
please
God,
don't.
don't sell the rights to EA.
But that is the one thing that I saw was lacking in it. Everything else was there, from growing your own, growing and creating your own stuff for potions, to character involvement with some of the characters that we remember from the movies. Obviously, new characters that weren't in the movies, most of them. Companion characters. This game looks freaking amazing. The spells, the combos, the generalized combat. It all looks really sharp, and it looks really good, and it plays out like the movie. Is it exactly what your cup of tea might be for a game? No, I think it's stylized into the form of that, right? Like you might think the combat is a little weird for RPGs, right? It's not as it's not as strategic as say Baldur's Gate 3. It's not as fast as some FPS games that are out there. So is it really that exciting? And obviously the combat is obviously a stylistic choice at the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall, I'm looking at it and I'm seeing that this game is literally offering everything that was on everybody's list. Like, they had a list of what is your wish for a really big, expansive RPG, Harry Potter universe game? Name your things. And then everybody put their things down, and out of the top 100 things, they got basically everything.
I'm so excited for the character creator.
And Mooney, your mic is muted.
Oh, she's coming through.
Or my my headset's dead.
Your headset's dead.
Sorry.
Yep.
My headset's dead.
Yeah. Go ahead, Moon.
Yeah, no. One of my things that I'm super excited for is the character creator, because it's who wouldn't want to insert themselves into a magical world?
Yeah. So
I suddenly heard Moon talking downstairs, but I couldn't hear her up here on my headset, and I'm like, oh no, I can't hear you. Your mic must have died. You must have muted yourself. And then I realized, oh wait, no, I can't hear literally anything. So I see Ash's thing blinking here, and yeah, okay, great. Love these headphones. They're just great. Oh,
so great.
Yeah. So anyway, very detailed character creator, which looks like I mean, I know that's something that you both would love, or love in any game.
I spend so much time in there.
And yeah, the RPG mechanics look pretty deep. Lots of different types of things to craft. You can, there's magical beasts you can tame. There's all kinds. There's even a type of base building system built in. There's an area that you can build and customize. So, yeah, lots in here. And again, it's one of these things we'll have to play. We'll have to play to see how it works. You mentioned the combat earlier, Simon. Combat, I mean, like, I don't know how exciting or interesting the combat will be. Again, we have to play it. But, I mean, it's very combat heavy compared to, say, the actual Harry Potter books or movies. Obviously, it's not, there isn't combat happening all the time. So it's been gamified in that way. But, I mean, yeah, it definitely looks very promising. Of course, don't run out there and pre-order. But, yeah, do keep your eye on it. If you're looking for a deep RPG, and there's been a bit of a drought for those lately.
It's been very dry. It's been very, very dry.
Yeah, since
it's as dry as the deserts on crap, I can't remember. Caracas? No, wait. Yes, Caracas.
Yeah. But since Kingdom Come Deliverance, it's been a bit of a drought in my opinion. Maybe there's maybe been one or two here or there, but as far as AAA, yeah. So Tara K's got some opinions in the live chat here. Says Hogwarts Legacy looks extremely good, and I'm not even a big Harry Potter fan, but it's one of the top games on my radar right now. Same. I'm not a huge Harry Potter fan, although, like, my wife has just started reading all the books with the kids, and I've been
so good.
Yeah, I've been listening here and there as she's reading with them, and yeah, I can definitely see why the books are very popular. I mean, the world is incredibly creative,
very detailed,
and that kind of a thing.
I feel so bad. It's pronounced Arrakis. That is the planet Dune, in case you were wondering.
Oh, yeah,
yes, dry.
The spice.
Yes, the spice. We've been talking a lot about Dune recently. Because of the movies, the game, and all the stuff coming out soon.
So I just wanted to look at pictures of Dune Cat.
Tara also says, I'm betting Quidditch would be a DLC, and you'd have a health and safety.
Health and safety would have a field day, pun intended, with real Quidditch with kids on flying brooms.
Yeah, you'd have to do it in some kind of an arena where everything's padded, and it would still be a disaster. But
no, you could never do that because you can't. It doesn't matter how padded it is. If you fall wrong, you die. Like,
well, they'd have. I don't know. If we've got flying brooms, I'm sure you can have hover fields that like prevent you from hitting the ground. But anyway, obviously this is all very far fetched. But yeah, it's definitely a sport that belongs. That's more realized in video games for sure. Anyway, of course we've got to talk briefly about the other aspect of this, which is of course the evilness of the Harry Potter creator. We're not going to so much talk about that, but we now have hypocritical game journalists whining about how much of a moral dilemma this is about whether or not they should support this game. I don't know how to. Even Paul Tassi over at Forbes, which I was disappointed in because I've appreciated his articles a lot in the past as having rather level-headed takes, but now he's like, I don't know how to feel. His article's literally called, I don't know how to feel about Hogwarts Legacy because of all the controversy with J.K. Rowling. Here's the thing.
Yeah, and until they start pulling their support completely from every game and every media agency that is in some way owned or is somehow connected to countries that brutally murder their own citizens, they can
yeah, they can bite my shiny metal ass. To quote famous
I was trying to find a proper way to say that, but yeah, that's basically
there's no beating There's no beating the elegance and eloquence of Bender's phraseology.
Mm-hmm.
But here, yeah, exactly. Is it a moral dilemma whether or not we should support Star Wars or Marvel stuff owned by Disney? Who I mean, even if the even if we ignore the beliefs of Walt Disney himself, but even what they're doing in the modern day, and how they basically they are associated and support quite some very 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 sketchy things, in China and elsewhere. And so is that a moral dilemma? What about this is, and I'll Paul Tassi even mentioned this in his article. He was like, "Am I still allowed to enjoy Firefly, even though I know how terribly creator Joss Whedon has treated women?" That's been a big thing. Like, if there was a Firefly game, would there be the same amount of scrutiny, and would there be the same amount of a moral dilemma with whether or not they should support that? I don't know, but I do find it rather interesting that all of a sudden it's a moral, instead of just outright saying, no, this is evil and nobody should support it, because Harry Potter is so big and so many people love it, including these journalists, that many of whom grew up with it, and because their outlets can make a ton of money supporting it, suddenly it's an extremely complex and nuanced issue. All of a sudden. Whereas everything up till now has been so cut and dried. It's like, yeah, oh, this person made a shady tweet 10 years ago, so, cancel their game, and they should be shunned from polite society. But now all of a sudden, because it's Harry Potter, it's suddenly we've got to approach this with nuance and complexity. And it's not, I've been picking on Paul Tassi, but there's more that, like, there's many articles out there.
Well,
about
there's
this
lots of people saying that, if you play this at all, somebody someday will look at your play history and will judge you for what you chose to play. I'm like, I don't think threatening people is the way to win people over. Like, if you want to win hearts and minds on key issues that you believe in, like, probably threatening people is probably not the way to go. I mean, I'm just assuming that that's an unhealthy thing.
They could say, they'd probably say, well, it's not a threat, it's just a warning. But I mean, still, like,
the more
okay,
you tell somebody what to do, the less likely they are to do it.
No, I'm quite serious. I was reassured that no, this is a threat. It's not a warning. It's a legitimate threat.
Well, I mean, this is so stupid.
Yes,
and plus,
stupid is a word.
Because I mean, there's also, again, let's carry this to its logical conclusion. If you don't separate the art from the artist, and your participation in engaging or consuming a particular piece of art means that you support the views of its creator, then we can just say goodbye to all of pop culture, all of classical culture. You know what? Art should just be abandoned completely, because there is no way to sustain
at that point.
Yeah,
right?
Because I mean, every single artist every single person in history has failed in one way or the other.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect. There's this old term, I don't know if you've heard it, but nobody's perfect. And it was never a crutch as much as it was for people that I knew, an attempt at, like, trying to find a way to be better. Because it's like, nobody's perfect, but we could sure try to, like, improve that somehow. But you'd have to look at the entire history of humans, essentially, and you can find something to blame them for in some way, shape, or form. Every single one of them, and every single one of them, you'd have to throw out all of human history. So it's like, well,
exactly.
We could do that, or we can let especially people that are dead, we can learn from what they said, and thought, and then we can separate the good from the bad, and we can make a comment on it, but still appreciate the artistry that was there, to an extent that the situation warrants. Obviously, there's some artists that I value, more than others by a significant margin, and yeah, but it's like each scenario is something that you look at independently, not brushing everything with the same brush.
Sure.
Because,
plus, you realize it's kind of like how we've got these Hollywood celebrities nowadays weighing in on all of the important issues of the day because they believe they have a platform and they need to have a voice, and yet
people who fly around in private jets and lecture everybody else about their CO2 consumption,
environmental. Yeah, exactly. It's like,
just get a Tesla.
I really do worry. I worry a lot about the environment. I've ranted a lot on the Discord, like privately, about like the problems that we have with the oceans, and it is a very serious thing. And yet, it's like you look at like the some of the beauty products that are used by like Hollywood elites. Some of them having like containing like majority like microplastics, stuff like that, and they go through entire bottles every single day. Well, not every single day, but like every single week, they're going through bottles and bottles of this stuff. It's like, I can guarantee you your plastic consumption is way higher than anybody else that I know.
Right. But besides the hypocrisy aspect of it, there's also the realization that these people are not experts on the things they're talking about just because they're famous, right? And yet people listen to them about stuff because they're famous. But yeah, the creator of a piece of art you like, or an actor that portrays, I have no moral dilemma with whether or not to support Hogwarts Legacy. I will support it or not based on whether or not it's a good game. And the reason I have no dilemma there is because that is how I approach every other game or piece of media that I consume or partake in. There are shows that I've watched where I've really liked, and I've really liked a certain actor, and then I find out that actor is a complete asshole. Or, they said something horrific that I abhorrently disagree with. So, they're not my friend. I'm not, I can still appreciate the art they create, even if I think they're an idiot in some other area of life, right? That's my stance on it. I don't know. And I think you two agree, but I just definitely want to hear what those of you in the live chat think. Let's see here. Tara K says, these type of people are worse than the ones they are decrying. When it came down to it, just expressed a personal opinion and etc. I'll leave that vague, just because we do have to kind of play YouTube's game here and be careful what we say about this. But
well, it's not because I don't think our concepts are controversial, and we're not picking on anybody. We're just literally advocating for like people to make decisions based off of like themselves, and then not allow anybody one way or the other to like, it's just because you play a game or like a song or like a piece of art from the history. There's lots of people who like H.P. Lovecraft. I mean, that guy was crazy, but I don't think a sane person would really write the stuff and the topics that they covered.
Yep.
Like, that is a dark universe full of insanity.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't think you can just like do that with a sane mind. And to that, it's like, all right, so was he a terrible person? Yeah, he was, by all records, he was a terrible person. But what can you do about that? He's dead. It's like, and his art never really covered the terribleness that he did have. So do you throw the baby out with bathwater, or do you like take the thing and appreciate it for what it is, and then like say, and hey, by the way, these things aren't really cool, and kind of go from there. I mean, it just takes like I said, individual like responsibility, and I wish we would advocate for more individual responsibility instead of like blood guilt and hunting down other people for things that they can't control. It's like whatever. So Tara K also says that he believes that the Quidditch will be a DLC. And I say yes. There's a good chance. They could be a good chance that it is in the game, and that they're waiting to showcase Quidditch.
Or maybe they're still working on it. Like maybe
Yeah,
Because it would be
polishing that
complex
up.
to engineer.
yeah, because
right?
it's still months away.
Yeah.
Like it's still like
last
9 months
quarter
away or
of this
so.
year, I think.
Yeah, it's a long way. It's a long way away.
Yeah.
And I really do think that like there's no multiplayer in this game. We should probably have mentioned that a little earlier. So no multiplayer at all. I really do want to see Quidditch played in multiplayer. I would really love to see that. But it could be that they are working on that, and maybe that would be something that they would maybe bring at a future point in multiplayer. That would be cool either way. If we get it sooner rather than later, great. If we get it with like added functionality later on down the road, I think that's great too. I'm looking forward to both, either or.
All right, we should move on from this. We've taken way more time than anticipated on that.
But it's so good. I'm so looking forward to it.
Weeds.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot to talk about there, but something else that should be interesting to talk about. Well, I think reactions to this have been mixed, at least from the limited reactions I've seen. New Witcher saga announced from CD Projekt Red. So not just a game, but it sounds like a new series of games is coming. It's not The Witcher 4.
We've talked about this a couple of times.
In the sense that it's not like a continuation of Geralt's story or a sequel to The Witcher 3. It is,
and again, we've talked about this several times. There is no Witcher 4 coming. Witcher 4 is not going to be a thing. I suspect it has something to do with the legal decision that they came to with the original writer and creator. Who, speaking of bad writer and creators, there's an example for you. But yeah, past that, just generally speaking, I think that they've reiterated how many times they're done with his story as him. And I think what they want to get into is they want to get into other aspects of the story, other characters, create more of a variety, give you the ability to maybe even do a character creator at some point in the saga. And you can't really do that if you're covering one dude's story. So I think what we're going to see is exactly what they've said that we're going to see, and that is we're going to see more stories within the Witcher universe, but not necessarily following the same like core group of people that we have been following up to this point. And I think that's valid. It doesn't mean that they're never going to show up. It just means that there's other stories that you can cover in the Witcher universe.
Right. And of course, the speculation is rampant about what's going on here. In this teaser image, you see a medallion that is similar to Geralt's very famous wolf medallion, but it's not a wolf. It looks more like a cat, and so this has led to speculation.
That is a particular character's medallion in the universe. It's not Geralt's. It's like,
no, it's not. I'm saying it's it's a cat medallion. So of course some people are wondering, well, does that mean School of the Cat? Ciri carries a cat school medallion. Is the new game going to be based on Ciri? Interesting speculation. Of course, others have pointed out it looks like a lynx, and it really does. And there is something called the Lynx School. Of course, that's from fan fiction. So unless they decided to make some fan fiction about it canon, then
no, it's
yeah.
There's a I should have looked a little bit more into this.
So this
I was told that it is a particular character's pin, to which we know that was one of the lesser like main characters in the last series. that
Okay.
it could be meaning that the game is going to be taking place in that location, or is going to involve that character. I can't remember the character who it was, but
Yeah, if anyone
yes,
knows,
it's an actual character within the existing universe already.
yeah, okay.
Um,
Yeah, if anyone knows what Sib's talking about there, let us know in the live chat. Or if you're listening after the fact, type a comment down below. Love to hear those as well. Uh, but, and I think we have, um, you know, when somebody posted about this in our content requests channel on the Discord, which, by the way, another thing you can do on the Discord, tell us about topics you want us to talk about on this show or make videos about. Somebody responded with the yawn emoji, and I kind of understand that that sentiment. I mean,
The apprehension.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's even apprehension, but just kind of apathy towards CD Projekt Red at this point. I can totally understand. Doesn't mean I'm going to ignore this game, whatever it's. And I mean, this is still. I mean, it's going to be a ways off. It's in development, but this is the first teaser from a company that is notorious for talking about stuff way in advance. Now, I hope they've changed changed their approach on that. Maybe it's a little closer than, hopefully it's not like 7 years off, like when we got the first teaser of Cyberpunk. But
well, I think so, and I think one of the things that we can see in this is that they've changed their engine. The Red engine is no longer going to be the primary engine going forward. Instead, now they're moving to Epic's engine.
Yeah.
So,
Unreal 5 is going to be the new engine they use. Now, what's the significance of that, Sab? Like from
pretty big. I mean, this is kind of huge. We can say that a lot of the issues that plague CDPR with the 7 years of working on Cyberpunk was constantly coming back to remake the engine, to add cool things so that we can do this and we could do that because we saw somebody put this in the video game last week, so obviously we need to put it in this video game. And they had so much of that it was crippling to them, absolutely crippling to them, as far as like progress and advancement and making things work and all that kind of stuff. They really ran into a wall with that over and over and over and over and over and over again. And that's not a good thing in any way, shape, or form. That is not a good thing. So you do not want to be hitting the wall over and over and over again like that. That is just, I mean, that is just extremely unhealthy. And so I think what we can see with this is that they're trying to increase speed, because one of the things that they had to do is whenever they brought somebody on at the company, they had to train them for months and months on how to actually work with this Red engine, because it was difficult to use by all accounts. It was very difficult to use. And I think one of the things that, when we look at another story that we're going to get into very quickly here, Bethesda, is that Bethesda's engine is very easy to use. It's very easy to mod. In Skyrim and Fallout, you have these like real time head tracking, first person perspective things, which is not the first person perspective that's in every other FPS game out there. These first person perspective things are truly next generation. You have hair, you have limitation on how you can turn because of where your body is and your neck and all this stuff. And it is actually built out of technology that was used to map head movement in VR games. And that's how, and they have VR versions of these mods. And this is the really next generation. And the first person, when I'm using this, doesn't bother me nearly as much as the regular first person goes, because as I pointed out before, a lot of times when you're in first person in most of the games that you're in first person in, you're not looking at an actual 3D model. You're not aiming down the scopes of an actual 3D gun. In the vast majority of these games, you're looking down the sights of a two-dimensional weapon that is being made to look like it's 3D, or a 3D weapon that's compressed into a 2D plane so that you're looking at it like that. That's one of the things that really screws me up in first person, is that what you're seeing in first person in these video games is not real. I mean, it's not just not real because of the space of the game, but it's just straight out what you're seeing is a fabrication. You're not seeing, even when you're playing multiple multiplayer games and you're looking at another character who's 3D, three-dimensional in front of you, what they're seeing is not themselves looking down the barrel of that gun. They have a different thing that is being put over the top of their game that is not being broadcast.
Yeah, it's an overlay over top, and that's something I noticed because I did a lot of work doing machinima in say Fallout 4, and when a character's aiming down the sight of their gun, they're not even looking, like you look at them in 3D, even in third person, they are not looking through the sight of the gun.
Exactly.
It's a lot of, anyway, yeah, it's kind of whack, like you were saying. But anyway, so
what I was getting at there is that the general, like, oh dear, what was I getting at there? Went on a really long tangent.
Something about
there.
that. Well, the red engine was hard to use.
Yeah, so they spent so much time retraining people with the red engine, trying to get them to be able to learn how to like program and stuff in it. And it was very difficult because, again, if you get a programmer who's very adept and who's quick to learn stuff, in Red Engine, you're taking 2 to 3 months to get them like up to speed. Conversely, if you take them and you put them on either the Bethesda engine or the Unreal Engine, they're picking that up in half the time or less.
And there's a large pool of Unreal developers already out there.
Exactly.
Hire from.
Yeah, so this is what was one of their big issues. It was one of the big problems they had with losing retention. Every time they lose retention, it's not just that you could just call in a new guy, do an interview, or girl, whatever, and in 20 minutes, you go, okay, well, you start tomorrow, and then they're in there working on that tomorrow, and they're helping catch the team up tomorrow. There's none of that. You're waiting months and months, and some people just don't get it. And I get that. There's some engines that people just don't click with. And in game development, that's really difficult. Right? So
this could be a good sign that they're switching over to Unreal Engine. However, I definitely understand some of the apathy and apprehension that we've been talking about, as is being mentioned in the chat right now about, yeah, I'm apprehensive about it too. Cyberpunk was a massive letdown. Yeah, Frostbite too. Frostbite was, and there you go. Like, that's why you had Respawn switched over to Unreal Engine as well. So, yeah, I definitely understand the apprehension, and of course, this is a long way off still. I don't know how long off this will be, but it's a ways to go. Like, they're not teasing this now for a game that's going to be out this year or next year. So, unless they've really changed up how they do things. But, no, I don't think that's going to happen. All right. You are listening to the Augmented Reality Podcast, and we love the discussion that's happening in the live chat. Of course, our live chat is more limited than it once was. We've started up doing this a different way because of scheduling issues. We wanted to keep the podcast at the regular time, which, it goes live noon Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesdays, right here on Triple S Podcasts and on the audio platforms. But we're basically in a position where we were forced to pre-record the podcasts, but we wanted to keep a live chat element, and so that's why we do it as in a stage room on our Discord server where, some of our community members can listen in and participate in the live chat. So, and that's currently, we've got that limited to, like I said at the beginning, our Patreon supporters, channel members, channel boosters, etc. So if that's something you're interested in doing, you can check out all of the relevant links in the description below. But even if that's not what you're interested in doing, I recommend checking out our Discord server. It's a great community with there's a lot of great people that you can talk with, find people to game with, chat about all the stuff you're passionate about. A wide variety of topic rooms where you can talk about anything from food and pets to the latest games and TV shows and movies and what else is there? Specific game rooms, things like that.
The memes channel.
Oh yeah, the memes room. That's right. There's
and Mooney loves the food and the animal channels too, and
Yes.
they're fairly lively. Like these aren't like updated once every people are
talking in there all the time.
Daily conversation, long daily conversations. There's a lot of memes in our thing. We're gonna have to. We're thinking of doing like some more stuff with the memes. So we'll see.
Right, and also a creator gallery where you can post your own artwork and stuff you make. We love we love when our community shows us what they work on as well. So all of that available on the Discord server. All the links to all of the things are in the description below. Okay. Just quickly, Vampire the Masquerade Swansong, we saw a trailer for it. Don't be confused. Trailer for this came out this week. This is not Bloodlines 2, the highly anticipated, although I'm not sure how highly anticipated it is anymore, but the sequel to Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, which is called Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, is still in the works and is still coming at some point in the future. Vampire the Masquerade Swansong is a completely different game. So if you're watching the trailer and think, wow, this looks like crap, or this doesn't look anything like the trailer we saw before for the teaser of Bloodlines 2. Such a stinking long title. Why do they have to name things like that? Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. We're talking about a completely different game here. Swansong is more of a Telltale style game, as this article points out, where you engage in it with dialogue. The story unfolds.
You investigate scenes.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
Do certain actions. It's very Boston. What's that game called? With the robots and the AI.
The robots and the game with the robots and the AI. That doesn't narrow it down much.
Good Lord.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. The name will come to me. You're talking about like a Quantic Dream game. Anyway, Detroit Become Human. Thank you.
Detroit. Sorry, it's not Boston. It's Detroit.
Boston. That threw me off. No, not Portal 2. Thanks, Shua.
Although that's pretty funny.
That
Shua.
is
because it's true. But no, it's very much like Detroit Become Human. Very much, in the sense of like you're not running around over a huge city, so to speak, all at once. You're mostly like you're going from like kind of hotspot story to hotspot story location. There is some combat, there is some stuff like that, but it seems to be mostly like a puzzling game. It doesn't look like current AAA, and we should remember that this isn't.
It's not. That this is that's why
this is like an A plus or like double A studio at most. Now, yes, it's a big publisher. But even in the regards of the publisher, Paradox is not massive. They're pretty small if you're comparing them to other big gaming companies out there. And I think that overall, it's a good concept. I hope that it finds its audience. I hope that they can improve some of those facial reactions and lip syncing that we saw in the trailer. Some of them were pretty bad, and I hope they get that like ironed out, and I hope they get that improved. But yeah, interesting game. Not necessarily. I don't know. I think some people might not necessarily like it. Too much.
It's the type, like, again, if you like those Quantic Dream or Telltale style games that are less about action, more about interaction with characters and environments and investigating things, and then it's probably more your type of game. But yeah, this is not Bloodlines 2. So it's just when you look at the two, when you look at the old trailer or trailers for Bloodlines 2 and then look at this, it looks like a massive downgrade. And so don't make the mistake of thinking, okay, that this is, that they've massively downgraded Bloodlines 2. That's not that at all. So it's a different game, completely different style.
I will not lie. That is what I thought it was. The first 20 seconds that I was watching it, I was like,
yeah, I was like,
oh
what the
God,
crap?
They downgraded everything. This looks terrible. This is what? Did they change the whole thing? And I was so confused.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope that it's good. I really do, because it's an underappreciated series. But yeah.
Okay, but let's get to talking about Bethesda and Starfield, because they put out another Into the Starfield video, and admittedly, so it's Todd Howard and 3 other people from the studio sitting around talking about the game, basically, and then showing some clips and pictures and stuff, intercut with it.
Showing a clip, not multiple clips.
A new clip. Is that the only clip of the? Yeah, I guess it is. But they showed some concept art, and they showed some other, some images and things, and anyway. But
I'll say this: they seem to have learned from the lighting people so far. Air quotes. So far, they have so far apparently learned from they learned from their modding community on how to create better lighting, because the lighting of the robot did look fantastic.
It does.
Absolutely.
It's on the screen right now if you're watching on the video. And yeah, so this does look really good. And this is a robot NPC.
It's one of your main companions, your first companion.
So it in the clip that they showed, you walk up and it addresses you as captain. And so
I'm crossing my fingers. I'm hoping that he got the Fallout 4 treatment, and that he will refer to us by name, by any name that you put in. Maybe they have instead of having, what was it last time, 1,000, almost 2,000 names. Now that I'm hoping they got 10,000 names. I really want him to say I really want to walk in and go, "Hello, robot," and he'll go, "Why, hello there, Master or Captain Boogaloo, or SpongeBob SquarePants, or Thomas the Tank." That any of those things would just make my day.
Absolutely.
What's that one song? I'm trying to find that one song.
Just have the actor read every word that exists, and then they can put it all together. Anyway.
Well, if they did a phonetics thing, then technically.
Yeah, well, and I wonder if they could
technology is getting closer every day.
The voice was such that it could potentially be a computer generated voice, especially for these robot characters. You could probably do that. You're probably at the point already where you could do that. Anyway, well, let's talk about a few of the details that we can glean from this video. They were intentionally vague about a lot of things, but it sounds like what they wanted to get across that this is going to be a deeper RPG than Skyrim or Fallout 4 or any of those.
They're slowly turning on the gas here. Really slowly. They are very slowly turning on the gas.
Yeah.
And good. I want to see more. I want to see more. But
I suppose
they're very slow right now.
Well, and this is, Shua says, going back to their roots, or so they want us to believe. Yes, I think they want us to believe that, and hopefully it's true. I will believe it when I see it, of course. But hopefully that's true. And yeah, as far as them really slowly turning on the gas, as far as what they're revealing, I think that's good, personally, because I don't want another Cyberpunk situation. I'm happy with, occasionally thinking about this game for the next few months until it comes out, near the end of this year. And if it's looking really good, maybe I'll get a little hyped for it. But I'm past doing game hype. I'd rather be like, even Dying Light 2. I watched some of the, the presentations they put out, and I was like, oh yeah, that looks cool. Definitely a game I'm interested in. But, didn't think too much about it or how awesome it would be, and was pleasantly surprised. And that's much better than getting in there and being let down, right? It's just a much, much better experience. So, yeah, I'm done with the overhyping. But anyway, so yeah, they are giving us the impression that they want to go back to their deep RPG roots. And one of the things they're bringing in are actual life paths, which, is something that they hyped up for Cyberpunk 2077. Of course, not Bethesda, but CD Projekt Red, just to clarify. The life paths were very hyped up for CD Projekt Red and turned out to really not impact the game very much at all. So it sounds like Starfield is going to incorporate life paths. You're going to have different beginnings to the game as depending on which one you choose, and but from there it'll be very, very open. Huge open world, huge open universe. Again, we've heard all of this before. And they talk about how expansive it is, and how you're talking to NPCs. It feels like you're talking to a real person just because of how many options and reactions and things there are. Yes, that sounds really cool. We have heard it all before. I hope it's true. I hope all of this is true. And that it actually feels that way. Not going to get hyped, though. So,
I think they've learned a lot. I really honestly think that they have learned a lot from the past. And, again, we've talked about how they cannot say, we're sorry, guys, we really screwed up on that last game. It was totally our fault. And I hope that, it didn't ruin your week. They can't say those things for legal reasons, but they have said we really dropped the ball on basically everything with 76.
Yeah,
we
almost nothing we didn't screw up.
Yeah. And those are very legalese, right? Because they have to be, and unfortunately that's just the way that American corporatism works, and it's annoying, and I don't like it. Nobody likes it. Like, somebody's like, stop defending their legalese. Like, I'm not defending their legalese. I'm just saying what it is, because some people assume that, you can have somebody say, oh, we're so sorry. There are people who make a living in the States by suing corporations, by getting them to admit fault for something random. I was reading about a guy who basically goes to restaurants, does an order. He does an order like convoluted and confusing. And so when they bring him the wrong order, he sues. He goes, I'm so angry about this. The person goes, I'm so sorry. The manager comes out and says, I'm so sorry. And then he goes, you've admitted guilt. I'm suing you. And then he sues them. And he spends years suing these people for these ridiculous payouts. And
because they got an order wrong? Like, what's the max you could sue someone for that? The value of the meal? Like...
well, apparently there's there's mental stress, and there's like long-term health issues that
of course, yes, emotional damage, yes.
Emotional damage. Mooney and I, we were watching him we've been watching him for what, like 2-3 years. And it's like he's now becoming like synonymous. He's reached super memedom at this point. Yeah. But I love that guy. And I love the Uncle George guy too. They're both hilarious. Uncle Roger, yeah. They're really, really funny and just love. Anyways, what like that's the legalese, right?
Yeah.
That's the problem in which the environment in which we have to deal with this, and it's unfortunate. It's stupid. I said again and again, it's the dumbest thing that we have to like put up with constantly, and it's not cool, right? Obviously speaking, but I'm saying that I like don't pre-order this game, but stay tuned and don't come at it with like this with an overly negative attitude of like, oh well, they're just gonna screw this up again. No, like I don't think that's the right emphasis to put on it, because if say it's your friend, right, and your friend, like, he has to borrow your car and you're like sure, and then you found out that he not only did he get into a car accident and total the car, he also like used it to like put down on a loan and just really messed up, and you had to deal with it for a long time, but you're happy enough to stick with him, right, as a friend. Maybe it's not a friend, maybe he's like your brother or something like that. It's not good to completely write him off and say, I'm never talking to you again. Nor is it right to shrug your shoulders and be like, yeah, sure, I forgive you. Right? Like there's a happy medium in between those things where it's like, okay, I'm gonna hold you to a high standard in your apology, in what you're gonna like in making this up to you, but I'm not gonna like completely cut you off either. It's like, if that, in my humble opinion, I'm not saying that everybody has to do this, just saying that in my humble opinion, I think that's the best way to approach this, because they've already said sorry and they're gonna do better. And it's like, again, I wouldn't pre-order. I don't tell anybody to pre-order anything, unless it's literally like the day before to get, a handful of the bonuses and whatever, and you're going to be getting it anyways, right? It's like,
Mhm.
it's like in those circumstances, yeah, that makes sense. But don't give them money which they sit on for months, and they
Right.
grow interest from that, and it's just sitting there. That's so dumb. Don't do that. Um,
And for
I
what? Yeah.
suppose if inflation keeps going up at a crazy rate that it has been, I suppose you could maybe make an argument for investing in something now, because you're like, well, my $60 ain't going to be the same 3 months from now. That's going to be worth 2 cents. It's like, maybe you can make an argument for that, but in general, don't pre-order. And don't pre-order this stuff, because again, we need to see more of this project. We need to see gameplay. We need to see stuff. But this one thing that this kind of does show, that I want to highlight once again, is that, and again, we talked about this earlier, the Red engine looks like it's dead, but the Bethesda engine is only getting better. And I think it's getting better, and I think it's a good thing, because what we need in this industry is we need to balance this thing out between the big corporate stuff and the stuff that can still stoke and create um specializations, right? And I think that doing Witcher 3, or sorry, I even fell for it. Doing the next Witcher saga in a in the new Unreal Engine is a good call. Doing Starfield in Unreal, I don't think is the right call. And
Or would
we can
not be the
have,
right call in some alternate universe where they were doing that, because
yeah,
obviously they're using the Bethesda's engine still on Starfield, and they're there's always concerns about that because of how buggy some of Bethesda's previous titles have been. But
but you cannot recreate Skyrim in Unreal Engine. You just can't. It's not doable. You can't have the same level of physics. You can't have the same level of integration with the world and movement. And now we're seeing more and more about like the building stuff and all that stuff. You can't have that stuff necessarily in the same. You can't have the mods come out, like, there's still hundreds and hundreds of mods coming out for their previous games. Every week there's hundreds of new mods for all their games, and you can't have that with Unreal. If you bring it in Unreal, you're gonna miss out on like 50% of those mods on day one. On day one, you can just look at the entire list of mods that have been created for the previous games, and if it came out on Unreal, you can take half of those and just throw them away. those mods are never going to be those types of mods. Those similar types of mods are never going to show up in this game because it's Unreal and you can't do those things in Unreal. So there is a level at which there is this point where we want to kind of maneuver it. And from what I'm hearing from some rumors, this may be beneficial to the gameplay itself once we get our hands on it. I can't say too much more on it, but I'll say that I think that sticking with their engine and improving it the way they have is a good call, because they don't have staff turnover problems at Bethesda. You know, unlike CDPR, which they've always had massive turnover, and that's in a way that's actually designed that way, and that's a big problem. But looking back on it like this, I think we can all agree that if you don't have a massive turnover, if you're still working with 95% of the same people that you were making 2 games ago, and you got a really good engine that everybody could click with, and when you do bring on people, it only takes them a few weeks to get them really going. And that's the other good thing. There's a lot of modders that have been getting jobs at Bethesda for a while now, because they've been able to take their modding experience and go get no super big names, but enough that it raises eyebrows and goes, huh, that's a pretty good way of doing it. And long ago, that's the way that BioWare in Edmonton were hiring as well. They, in the Neverwinter Nights engine, they'd get you to make a mod or make a little story capsule module. They used to call modules in their Neverwinter Nights 1 game, and that's how you submitted to get into the game. And there were biologists and just general people, and a lot of young people were getting jobs there just because they spent a couple of weeks learning how to use the engine. They made something, they put it out, and then BioWare was like, wow, nice job, we'll hire you for this. So stuff like that. Excuse me. It's a long journey to get here with the engine that they have, and I think they should be keeping it, because again, it's going to allow them to do things that they couldn't do in Unreal.
All right. And by the way, since so Shua mentioned earlier, if they have factions as well as the life paths, it'll double the choice and impact to the Cyberpunk of which you had in Cyberpunk, right? For sure. And there are factions, and it sounds like you can join and be aligned with different factions. And we were introduced to 2 new factions. Ryujin Industries, which is a big mega corporation, and then we have the Crimson Fleet, which is space pirates, basically. There's the United Colonies, and the Freestar Collective, which were apparently previously revealed, even though I didn't remember either of those. So, whatever.
Yeah. And
all right.
Lady Reaver and Shu in the chat, you guys are hilarious. I can't repeat some of that, but yeah, you guys are hilarious.
So funny.
Yeah, there's lots happening in the live chat that you will only be privy to if you join the Discord server and pick one of those ways to join in on the live recording session that I mentioned earlier. But join up with the Discord server. Check out the Discord server anyway, because even if not everyone can be a financial supporter, we understand that. We don't expect that of everybody, and we might at some point we might expand the ability of people to be in the audience for the recording sessions. We're just kind of testing this out first of all with our dedicated supporters, but we might make changes in the future. Join up on the Discord server. You can find the link in the description below. All right, so any final thoughts, Moon? Which of these games are you most looking forward to?
The Harry Potter
I was
game.
going to say, I'm guessing Hogwarts, right?
Yes. Because I played the old, the first one, the Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone or Sorcerer's Stone, depending where you are. But yeah, I played that back on console, and it was great.
Right on.
And I enjoyed the footage.
Yeah. All right, well, we're going to wrap up the show. Those of you who are listening in the live chat on the Discord server, don't go anywhere. Join us in the post-show hangout room as soon as we're done here, and we'll talk for a little while there. But for everybody else, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate having you, whether you're listening live or after the fact. Please do, if you are listening after the fact, leave your comments below. If you appreciate this content, consider subscribing here on Triple S Podcast or on the Triple S League channel. Slam the like button on this video, and consider checking out our Discord server, our Patreon page, and all those things linked in the description below. Really appreciate that. Special thank you to all of our patrons, channel members, server boosters, and all everyone else who contributes in that way. Really appreciate you all very, very much. And also to anybody who comments, shares this video to help to expand our audience. All of that stuff helps. So if you appreciate our take on gaming news, consider doing one of those things, and we would really, really appreciate that. But otherwise, we will see you next week at the same time. The Augmented Reality Podcast goes live on YouTube and on all of the audio platforms. Wednesdays at noon Pacific Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Saturdays, you can listen to Maximum News with Subsidian and Max Derrick on the Triple S Podcast's YouTube channel. And we are considering expanding that one to our audio platforms as well. Just got to work out some kinks there. But anyway, on behalf of Cybe and Moontag, this is Ash for the Triple S League, and we will talk to you again very soon. Bye.